afternoon. I am Barb, the host of the Better Together Facebook Live, and this is a weekly Facebook Live show where we talk about all of the things, whether it is our hopes, our dreams, our worries, or our waistlines, which is today's topic. And it doesn't matter where you come from or what you've been through. Here on the Better Together Facebook Live is where we find the hope, the help, and the practical next steps that help us all get better together. And if you normally watch the Better Together Facebook Live show, you might recognize that I'm not in my usual studio space. In fact, I am hanging out here in my kitchen where I'm hoping that the internet hangs in there with me. But today we are changing things up. The topic for today is healthy, holy body confidence. And so today I am sharing my journey to healthy, holy body confidence. And the part that I'm excited about is that in just a bit, my fabulous producer Tabitha is going to join me. And today I'm going to cook for you. I'm going to prepare some recipe for you. And I'm also going to talk about what it looks like for you to have healthy, holy body confidence. I know that most of my audience is women, and how we look, how we see ourselves is such a struggle for us at times. And so today I'm going to talk about the 3 things in my journey that God has taught me. And I hope that by the end of this, you'll have some practical takeaways. You will have hope as well as being challenged with God's beautiful truth about you. But before we get to that, speaking of freedom, which is part of today's conversation is about my journey to freedom. I wanted to remind you that I have a fantastic summer Bible study option for you. It's my new Bible study titled Breakthrough, Finding Freedom in Christ. And I just finished doing a Zoom call with a group of ladies from Athens, Georgia. They just finished the Breakthrough Bible study, and it was so sweet to hear them talk about how they are able to find freedom from that Christian checklist that we all feel tied to. So if you've ever had that religious anxiety inside that if you don't do things for God, that He won't bless you, I want to invite you to check out the Breakthrough Bible Study. There's a photo there of the Bible study. It's a 6-week Bible study. There is the participant guide. There's a leader guide as well as a teaching DVD. And so I am walking with you through that experience. And I want you, as you are walking through the experience, to recognize that as God leads you to freedom, that's where you get to experience God's great adventure of joy and purpose for your life. And so I want you to get in there, and I want you to join me for the Breakthrough Bible Study. And I also want to let you know that if you do the Bible study, there'll be a picture of it there that you can see. If you do the Breakthrough Bible Study, invite me to come visit your group. And when you and I can visit online together, your group can ask me questions. They can ask, and I get a chance to share about the backstory of the Bible study. That's a lot. And we just get a chance to really connect with each other. And so there's the picture there of the Bible study. Isn't that cover beautiful? A picture of the Bible study, as well as you can get the DVD and the leader's guide. So I wanted to let you know about that. So now I am excited that you are joining me. Tabitha, she's going to come out and join me in just a moment. Tabitha, my fabulous producer, come on out. And we're going to have a conversation today. How are you doing, Tabitha?
I am great. How are you, Barb?
I am doing well. And ladies, if you are out there today and you just want to join the conversation with us, you can. We want you to be a part of what we're going to be talking about today. And so, Tabitha, our topic is healthy, holy body confidence. It is summertime, Tabitha. You are in Canada. What is summertime like for you right now?
Oh my goodness, it is so exciting. And it's especially exciting because we are coming out of lockdown in time for summer. So I can actually enjoy my summer, which is amazing. I was kind of concerned that, being inside all day, it would just kind of pass me by. But now being able to go out a little bit more has been great. So I'm looking forward to it.
I love it. Speaking of things that we love, my friend Carolyn, she jumped in with a comment. And speaking of things that she loves, Carolyn's group in North Carolina is doing the Surrendered Bible Study. And so that's fun. Thank you, Carolyn, for sharing that. Tabitha, since we're talking about healthy, holy body confidence today, and you are now off of lockdown. So, Tabitha, man, I guess maybe you got to go outside. How are you feeling about the summer body?
Okay, so this is actually a conversation I'm really looking forward to, Barb, because body confidence has been something I have always struggled with, but something that I've been growing in through this COVID season, because beginning of COVID, they joked about like the COVID-15. That was not a joke for me. Like, I don't know if it was 15, but I was definitely eating all the comfort foods. But now, in this season, I've been coming out of that now and just trying to take care of my body a little bit more. So I'm looking forward to our conversation today and to the summer where you can just get out and walk a little bit more and go visit places. So yeah, I'm excited for it.
Well, and I love that you were transparent enough to share about the realities of COVID-15. Mm-hmm. I know that is pervasive. COVID-15, COVID-30, COVID-50. There were a lot of people who went through a lot. And so if you're watching live or on the replay, you aren't alone. Now, for me, my story was a little different. I actually ended up losing weight during COVID. But that's because there were some things that had happened in my life because I was coming off of the divorce. And so I had a kind of a different momentum going into the pandemic than some people did. So I'm going to talk about some of those things that helped me when I was going through the divorce, and instead of the COVID-15, I wanted the divorce 15. But Tabitha, I don't know, when we think about some of the questions that we have around just our bodies, are there any questions that come to mind for you?
Yeah. Well, one big thing is that so many of us, especially as women, struggle so much with what we see in the mirror. Like some of us are so afraid to even look in the mirror because we feel ashamed. And so I'd love if you could share, why do you think this is such a big struggle for us and how can we handle it a little bit better?
That is a great question. And you know what? Years ago, I wrote my very first book back in 2015. Last week, I held up the cover because I've had a number of books. I don't talk about this one as often, but it's titled Enough Already, Winning Your Ugly Struggle with Beauty. And Tabitha, I did a survey of over 500 Christian women. And the vast majority of women, when I asked them the 3 words to describe themselves, do you know what the top 2 words were? Christian women.
Probably something having to do with weight.
Yep. So 500 Christian women, their top 2 words to describe themselves were fat and ugly.
Yeah, it's so sad.
It is sad. And I think that it reflects the pressure that we as women feel from society. Mm-hmm. When I was doing the survey, there was a part of the survey, and when I looked at the data, I think it was something like 84% of women felt some to severe pressure to lose weight. Mm-hmm. And when I was thinking about that, I was like, you know what, that's true. Because, I mean, when you're at the grocery store, what do the magazines and Instagram tell us, Tabitha?
Right. Exactly. That skinny is beautiful. If you're overweight, you got to lose it in order to be accepted, to be appreciated. Yeah, it's really hard.
It is. And so I believe that what makes the struggle most difficult for us as women is that we hate our bodies. Mm-hmm. And so the very first thing I want to share today, the very first thing is that we will not take care of a body that we don't love. That's the first thing that I want to share with you today, is that you will not take care of a body that you don't love. And Tabitha, I think we've got a banner for that. Yep. And that is a quote that a woman wrote when she shared her story with me, when she realized that she had been mistreating herself because she hated herself. And when I did the survey and asked women which parts of their bodies they hated the most, Tabitha, can you guess which part of the body women hated most?
I would say this, maybe the stomach area.
Yeah, stomach was first, and then the number 2 area.
Was it face?
Hips.
Oh, hips. Okay.
Hips
Yeah.
were number 2. And when it came to the body part that we criticized the least, do you have any idea what that is?
I have no idea. What is it?
Our lips.
Really? Oh, that's interesting.
Apparently, lips in my survey were the least criticized. But one of the things that I began thinking through for me, a part of what inspired this book was that I hated my teeth my entire life.
Mm-hmm.
And when I was a kid, I used to be called buck teeth. And I really didn't like to smile. I didn't like to talk out loud. And my teeth, to this day, I'll be 49 years old next month, and my teeth are still not perfect. But God led me on this journey. And part of it I taught last week in Genesis chapter 1, verse 31, when God looked over all he had made and he declared it beautiful. The shift in my mindset, Tabitha, was that when I look in the mirror, I have to repeat 11 or 7 very powerful words. I am beautiful because God made me.
Mm-hmm. Yeah.
Those 7 words I began repeating to myself before I ever lost any weight, before I ever changed my hair, before I started wearing. I am beautiful because God made me.
Mm-hmm.
And those words reflect the truth in Genesis chapter 1. So that when I look in the mirror, I do not judge myself by culture's definition of beauty.
Yeah.
I can love myself because the God of love created me. Does that make sense, Tabitha?
It does. And I love that. And I can relate so much to it because I remember there were times when I was in college where maybe me and my friends were going to go somewhere and I was just like staring in front of my mirror like, I do not feel confident. I don't want to go anywhere. I don't want to be seen. I just want to stay in my room and kind of hide away. Because I never felt like I measured up to the world standards of beauty. And I never felt like I even looked like my friends. And so I was so insecure. And so I love you sharing that because it knocks all the beauty standards away. And it's like who you are, it has nothing to do with how culture perceives you. It's about who created you. And so that's so powerful.
And for the woman out there, thank you for sharing that, Tabitha, because I know that so many women resonate with what you're saying. And for the woman out there who just says, but Barb, the cultural pressure of beauty is so strong. That's what I love about summertime, because summertime reflects this very vital truth that God is the creator of beauty, not culture. Mm-hmm. When we go and we stand outside and we look at the trees, we look at the flowers, we look at the food around us, God created that beauty. Nothing in our culture can create the kind of beauty that God can. God created the sunsets. He created all of the parks. He created all of the natural wonders. It's his definition of beauty that you and I get reminders of every single day. And so I want to share some encouragement with you. If you're listening today and the cultural standard of beauty is weighing upon you so heavily, one of the things that I do every day as a reminder is I go for walks every day outside, because Psalm 19 chapter 1 says, the heavens declare the glory of the Lord. The heavens declare God's truth. And when I walk outside, I remember what God's beautiful truth is about me. And that helps to push back against what culture says. What do you think about that, Tab?
That's so good. And as you were talking, I was like, another thing that's really interesting is that so many times culture's beauty standards change. And so one day thick eyebrows are in, one day thin eyebrows are in, short hair, long hair. And so, one day you might measure up and then the next it's like, oh, you need to change now. But the good thing about God is that he doesn't change. And we have a comment here. Thank you for joining us. She said amen. So she's tracking right along with what you've been sharing, Barb.
I love that. Hello, hi, Aunt Tiffany. Good to see you. Oh, well, then, Tabitha, so what are some of the other questions? When we talk about healthy, holy body confidence, what's another question that comes up?
Yeah, so I'd love to talk a little bit more about food, because as I shared in this COVID season, food has kind of been a tricky conversation because it feels so much easier to, skip the dishes, Uber Eats, just get fast food, not really care too much about our bodies, but more about convenience. But how can we really overcome that urge to just have fast food all the time and actually take care of what we're putting into our bodies?
So this is, for me, food has been just a struggle because it just has for me. I loves food. I loves it a lot. But before COVID, I went through a very long season of some very hard circumstances. And I used to be a comfort food person because comfort food and fast food was just easy. So the second thing I want to share when we talk about having healthy, holy body confidence is that that God's food is the best fast food, that we can do that for ourselves. Because generally fast food is about us being able to meet a need of ourselves quickly, but how we meet that need isn't always healthy for us. I mean, Tabitha, do you have a favorite go-to comfort food? I do.
Pizza and burgers, easily.
For me, there is a dip at the grocery store. It's just the generic Kroger cheese dip. And nacho chips. I'm really good at that. But when we think about fast food, Tabitha, after you and I eat comfort food because we're stressed or sad or lonely or what have you, how long does it usually take until you get mad at yourself?
Oh, goodness. I mean, I'll be honest, I've been giving myself a little bit more grace, maybe too much grace these days. But it just doesn't have the same effect as when you eat healthy. Sometimes you feel kind of gross, or you're like, I really shouldn't have put that much oil or salt or sugar into my body. And so eating healthy definitely has the opposite effect. You feel more energy, you maybe even have a little more confidence. Maybe you're proud of your decisions. And so it really is a different reaction to the two.
That is so well said. You nailed it. And so I want to share some things. When I realized that my family, I love it. Aunt Tiffany, she said, right after I'm stuffed, I regret it. Yeah, and that's so true for all of us. We're hungry, and so we eat, and we want to put a little bit more in there. And very, very rarely do we ever feel that kind of regret when we're stuffing ourselves with healthy food. We very rarely regret it. Carolyn, she said, at 70 years old, I am finally accepting my body and loving it. I'm taking care of it at every level now. Woo! I lost 35 pounds like Barb in last year because of a messy separation going through divorce. I didn't want to eat nor take care of me. Thank goodness that's changed. Thank you for sharing that, Carolyn.
Yeah.
When I was going in the early days of our family struggle, I realized that I was going to eat my way through it if I did not ask God for help. And I don't do diets like measuring cups and plans. I just have never been any good at that. But I just remember years ago saying, God, if you don't help me, I'm going to be in trouble. Mm-hmm. And so there were a few things that I want to share with you all that God used, that he put into my life to help me really embrace this philosophy of make God's food into fast food. And so I'm actually going to show you a few things. Tabitha, do you want to hang out backstage while I'm doing a few things?
Yeah, sounds great.
All right. So the very first thing about making God's food into fast food, I don't know if you realize this, friends, but when we look, I've got some fresh strawberries here, and I've got this basket of vegetables. You guys, I don't know if you realize this, but God, as the creator of beauty, he made our food to look and smell good. Now, I know that there are some foods out there that don't smell the greatest and they're pretty ugly, but even they have functionality. But I have fresh strawberries here. I mean, unless you're allergic, who does not love a fresh strawberry? And how, look at how beautifully red and vibrant they are. And in their natural casings, God created this. Like, this is pure yumminess. And then I've got this basket here of some veggies. And in a moment, I'm going to make a recipe for you. But when I talk about making God food into fast food, the number one thing I realized early on when I was going through just our marriage struggles, and every day I would wake up and I would be under stress and I couldn't get away from the stress. So there wasn't like a day where I knew it would be better. I knew that I would stress eat every meal every single day. And so instead of resorting to fast food, I had to give myself the gift of thinking ahead. And so this is salad in a jar. And you see, guys, it is a mason jar. And what's inside? Salad. Many years ago, it's probably been 5, 6, even 7 years ago, I take an hour on Sundays or Saturdays, and there's tomato at the bottom, there's shredded carrots, there's red onion, and there's lettuce. And what I do is I buy these, wash them, chop them, and put them in the jar, so that it makes it easier for me to have fast food that's God's food, that's healthy. So for today, here's a picture of my lunch today. And this is a picture of a salad that I made with one of these salad in a jars. And so what I did was I unscrewed this lid and this was my lunch a couple of hours ago. I dumped it on a plate, and then I was able to add whatever protein on top. And so one of the things that I do to make my life easier, I forgot to grab this, but when I'm in a hurry, and because I want to make sure that fast food, I buy things like, this is a bag of chicken strips. There's no antibiotics, no hormones, no preservatives. And so this is healthy chicken strips. They're frozen. And what I do is I thaw these out and I dump it on top of the lettuce for protein. I boiled some eggs a couple of days ago. Those are on top. And there are seasons when I'm feeling like I'm rushed and I'm busy and I may not have time for salad in a jar. Then I just buy bag salad. I buy shredded carrots because I don't like to shred carrots. And so I'm just buying shredded carrots. So what I do is I think ahead and go, how can I make God's food the fastest food for me? And salad in a jar, week in and week out, is one of the most helpful things that I've done. Another thing that I do, and this makes it easy for me to eat healthy. And again, I actually lost weight during the pandemic because I had been on this road through the divorce of having to think through how to plan ahead. And again, I don't do diets. I stick to, if you've heard of intermittent fasting, I do the 16-8 plan. I eat for 8 hours a day. So I eat breakfast, lunch, dinner. I don't miss a meal, kids. I also don't restrict my food. I eat healthy, but I do that in such a way so that I do have boundaries on my eating, because I need boundaries, but that's the only kind of diet I do. But when we plan ahead, it allows us to really be able to make good, healthy decisions under pressure. So I want to very quickly show you a recipe that I came across a couple of weeks ago. And this is something that you can make, and you can probably do it for a couple of days during the week. So I have a beautiful orange pepper right here, and I'm cutting it into large chunks. And what I'm about to make for you is a very simple beet and Greek salad. In fact, Tabitha, backstage, Tabitha, can you toss up a picture? Well, don't do it yet, Tabitha. Sorry, don't do it yet. But this beet and Greek salad is something that I had at a restaurant a few weeks ago. And I wanted to make it on here right now because I wanted you to see just how quickly a salad like this could come together. When you and I are stressed, particularly when we're stressed, the first thing that we stop doing is feeding ourselves well. And I want you to see that it is possible for you to, even with a busy lifestyle, for you to have an opportunity to feed yourself well. And so as you can see, what I'm doing is I am cutting up, I have an orange pepper that I cut up. And then this is the remains of an English cucumber that I have right here. And so I cut them into large chunks and cut them in half. And then right here, I've got a red onion, and I'm cutting that into large chunks. And the beet and Greek salad itself is made up of these ingredients. And then I have a can of beets. And what I did was I already drained them, and I cut them in half. So I'm putting the can of beets in here. And then here are the orange peppers. Look how colorful that is, you guys. Making God's food fast food. Now I'm putting in the cucumbers as well as the onions. And this recipe can make up to 2 to 4 people as a side dish. Or you can carry this to work as a salad. One thing that you can add fresh dill. You can chop fresh dill up. You definitely want to salt and pepper. For me, I've got some artichokes. Again, this is beet and Greek salad. Let me get a fork. But I wanted you to see in just a couple of minutes how quickly you can make a very healthy dish, even if you're under pressure and in a hurry. And so here is where I added the artichokes in it. And as you look at all of this, look at how beautiful this actual salad looks. And then to finish it up, what you can do is you can I just add some simple Italian dressing on top, or you can add Greek dressing, and then you top it with feta cheese. I've got some feta here. So Tabitha, come on out and tell me what you think.
That looks so good, Barb. Oh my goodness. I love when it's healthy and it tastes good. That's when you know you hit the jackpot with food.
Look at how lovely the colors are. I mean, these are all from nature. And what, Tabitha, I got that done in less than 5 minutes.
Yeah, so quickly. And Carolyn here, she said she loves it, the proactivity that keeps her from being reactive under pressure.
Very much so. Very much so. Another thing that I do, Tabitha, I don't know if you have any healthy go-to snacks, but I decided early on when I was going through hard times that I would err on the side of buying healthy snacks. So I'm a big fan of Bar and Kind Bar. They only have 4 ingredients in them. They're all natural. And while some people might think they're a little pricier, I have a philosophy. It's a lot easier not to gain. It's a lot less expensive and a lot easier to not gain weight than it is to lose weight. Losing weight is expensive and time consuming. I would rather spend the money on the front end buying healthy food, spending a little more on healthy food than having to spend a lot more money on diet food later. What do you think?
Yeah, I love that. My sister actually just introduced me to bars the other day. I was like, oh, I've seen them around, but I've never had one before. So it's cool that you're bringing it up today as well.
Yeah, I love eating it. And I generally try to stick to the same foods in general because I found that if I eat too many different foods, it's really easy for me to overeat. And so when you're thinking about what healthy is like for you, do you have any go-tos that you like to share?
Yeah, so it's funny because growing up when people would order salad from a restaurant, I would never understand it. I'm like, salad for a meal, like that's a side dish. But it wasn't until college I got into food service and I started realizing how amazing salad is. And so I also love making salad. Cranberry turkey salad is actually one of my favorites. So salad has taken on a whole new meaning in my adult life.
And for me, I do this usually at lunchtime because it's usually during the workday and it's quick. So, but yeah, I wanted to share those. And I've got one more thing that I want to share with the ladies. And that last thing is, and this is something I'm passionate about, even though we don't have a lot of time to cover it, but move your body so that God can move through you. And this is something that I learned when I began doing missions trips in Honduras. When I was on missions trips, I realized that my body was working harder than usual. So I needed to work out before I went on a missions trip because I didn't want to be tired and exhausted helping others. So when I got back home, I thought, what's something simple that I can do so that I can keep moving my body and taking care of it? And it really came down to this right here. Tabitha, my Fitbit. I work on taking 10,000 steps a day. Right now, I am not at 10,000. I got some work to do. Right now, I am at 4863 for the day. But that is something that for me, I recognize that I'm a lot healthier when I walk. Tabitha, what about you? When you think about moving your body, what does that look like for you?
Yeah, well, I just want to say, I feel like there are so many of us who struggle with working out because we haven't actually found a form of working out that we enjoy. And so I think that's so important. And that's been important for me as well, because personally, I don't like jogging. I don't want to go for a jog in the morning, but I do enjoy, learning some choreography or taking a walk. And so those are some things that I've been doing more of. So for those of you who are watching, who are like, I want to exercise, it's on my list, but I hate, the traditional forms of working out, like do some research and figure out what kind of working out you like to do, whether that's dancing or walking or whatever the case may be, and go for that. So yeah, those have been some of mine.
I love it. For me, I am a walker. I used to be hardcore, like a lot of the really tough ones, but Leslie Sansoni on YouTube, I have been walking the Leslie. She walked with me all the way through the pandemic, and she walked with me before the pandemic through the divorce. I've done Pilates and yoga and some others, but Leslie Sansoni, she is a walking routine. She is a walking fitness expert for all exercise levels. Sansoni is Sansone. You can find her on YouTube. But really, I got a Fitbit so that I don't lie to myself and I walk. And doing these things through the pandemic, I actually lost about 7 or 8 pounds, and which was really, for me, I don't really talk about it all that often, but the pandemic was hard. I was living alone and just divorced, and I knew that without God's help, I was going to eat all the way through the pandemic. And so these are some of the things that really changed the game for me. So Tabitha, as we're wrapping up today, talking about healthy, holy body confidence, do you have anything else you want to share?
I just want to wrap it up for the ladies who are watching and tell them that that they're loved. First of all, I think that's just an important reminder, no matter, how much you weigh or whether or not you feel like you measure up, that you're loved, that you were intentionally created. And something that I recently had to come to for myself was that even if my situations don't change, even if I'm still in a pandemic, even if I'm still overwhelmed, that doesn't mean that I don't have to change. Like I can still take action and I can still change even if my situation is the same. And so that kind of helped me to stop making excuses of like, well, it's a pandemic and we've never been through this before and it's just overwhelming, so I'm not going to do anything, and get to the point where I was like, okay, this might be going on for a while. I don't know. But just because this is hard doesn't mean that I can't change. So just encouraging for those who maybe feel like how I felt.
Yeah, absolutely. And I'm so glad you spoke that word of encouragement. And for ladies, Tabitha is also, she has written about this in her book. And so Tabitha is going to drop a link into the comments. about just some of the things that she's had to learn about herself and her body. We're also going to add in the recipe for the beautiful beet and Greek salad. And if you want to share this episode with your friends, you can. You can share it, and or they can go to barbruce.com and watch the replay of this episode on the blog page. You can too. So Tabitha, thank you for joining me today as we talk about healthy, holy body confidence.
My pleasure. Thank you so much for having me.
Everyone, again, join us next week as we continue with the Better Together Facebook Live show. We hope to see you here at 4:30 Eastern Standard Time. Have a great week, everyone.
Bye.